This album, BlockBusta, Busta, let me talk to you for a second, bro. Come close to the TV. Come close to your phone. Busta, respectfully, my dude. Busta, I love you. But son, nah. Hell to the no. Busta, this album ain't it.
Get this cause I won't repeat it. Champions be defeated, I'll be the top seeded.
This is Busta Rhymes' 11th album, his 11th studio album. 3 years ago, he released, to me, one of his best albums. Well, let me just be clear. 3 years ago, Busta Rhymes released Extinction Event Level 2, ELE2. And in my humble opinion, I really thought that was Busta Rhymes' best album that he's ever released. It was a complete album. The production was dope. It just hit on every level with the production, the lyrics, the features. It was a really, really complete and dope album. But now Busta is back with this new album called BlockBusta. I didn't even know this album was coming out until a day before. I literally went on a music streaming service Tidal, and they said artist releasing tomorrow. And it said Busta Rhymes. I thought maybe it was going to be another single because Busta has literally released like 3 or 4 singles off this album this whole year. But to my surprise, it was a full-length album. And Busta said a couple weeks ago that the album was going to be produced executively by Swizz, Pharrell, and Timbaland. So I'm thinking, there is no way this album is not going to be a banger, produced by I can't say necessarily. I'll say it. Okay, 3 of the best producers of the last 20 years. Because, you could throw Swizz in there. Because Swizz, I mean, his work he did in the late 90s for the Rough Riders and early 2000s have been definitely, he came out with some classic work. So I'm not going to discredit Swizz. Although Timbaland, Pharrell, you already know their catalog is just very, very dope. So 3 of the best producers of the last 25 years. You thinking automatically that Busta cannot go wrong, right? Right? Thank you, everyone, for checking out and watching this vid. This is the E for One podcast. I'm AP Anthony. And if you didn't already know this channel existed, why don't you go ahead, like this video, and it's also extremely important you subscribe to the channel. Why don't you? Thank you so much in advance. I appreciate it. Now back to BlockBusta. This album should have been called Lackluster because listen, I don't know what it is, but Busta, I know what he did. I know what he's doing on this album. He's trying to cater to a younger demographic on this album, a theme that I have mentioned for artists before previously on other vids that I've done for other artists. But Busta is literally going for that young demographic, that 20-something-year-old demographic on every single damn song on the album. Features on this album includes Quavo, B.I.A. if you want to pronounce it. I don't know how you pronounce it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Young Thug is on the album. Young Blue. DaBaby is on the album. T-Pain is on the album. And I think that sounds very, very dated. Anything with T-Pain on it right now in 2023, to me, is going to sound very dated. Burna Boy on the album. Gigs, Kodak Black is on the album. I mean, listen, this album is not for me. If you're just a Busta Rhymes purist and a pure, straight up, unadulterated Busta Rhymes fan and head and purist, you're going to like this album regardless. Don't get me wrong. Busta doesn't lack lyrically on this album, but the beats and the sound and the features are all for a younger demographic. So I can't say that everyone over the age of 40 is not going to be checking for this album, but everyone over the age of 40 is going to kind of look at it through a certain lens like, this is not what we were expecting from Busta Rhymes, especially at his young and wise age of 50 plus years old. And I'm not bringing age into this whatsoever, because there's a lot of demographic of people that think that when I say, or when someone says that a rapper is 50 something years old, he's supposed to sound old and lethargic and not on beat on tracks or anything like that. I just think that Busta Rhymes chose a very obscure time to release this album. And listen, from a creative standpoint, if Busta from his heart really wanted to do something to, reach out to the younger generation and to bridge that gap between new sound, old sound, young and old, cool. I get it. If Busta is just in his bag where he's just trying something brand new and a new, not necessarily new flows, because Busta always has been a speedster when it comes to rhyming on a lot of his tracks in the past. And he's rhymed in double time, that double time flow in the past quite a bit. Just look at the Chris Brown song, Look at Me Now, from years ago, where he was rhyming like super duper fast. So that's nothing new. But if Busta was just in his bag to where he's like, I want to be creative, like Andre 3000 is in his bag and he decided to do a damn flute album, cool, I get it. But this album, for me, a hip hop purist, a hip hop head, a hip hop connoisseur, I just think this album was a total complete miss. I really do. I went through the whole album, which is very, very extremely long. It has 20 tracks on it. I don't think this album just didn't hit for me. It really just didn't. I didn't. Maybe the only song that I thought would put. Okay, here's the test of time. Here's the test of the album. Would I, me personally, put any song on this album on a playlist that I make? No. The only song that maybe came close is the last song on the album with Big Tigger, but I really wasn't feeling Big Tigger on there and on that song being featured throughout the song. I have no understanding of that because Big Tigger, I know he was the host of Rap City and he's a DJ at a DC station radio. He's a disc jock, but didn't like that song. Didn't like how corny Big Tigger sounded on the song. And the song with Kodak Black, maybe I thought that was cool, but this album is worthy of a one listen. I mean, it really is. Feel free to let me know in the comment section. I really want to know what the audience, what y'all got to think. I could be totally out of touch with reality. And once again, to kind of bring this to a close, I don't think it's not, that whole age thing, like when rappers get a certain age, sound your age. That has been a lot of talk lately with Drake. Drake trying to appeal to the 20-year-olds, Busta trying to appeal to the 20-year-olds. Is it really these artists, trying to appeal to the 20-year-olds and to a younger demographic, or are they just being creative, or are they just trying to, stay relevant? That's a bigger question. Like, Busta, are you just trying to stay relevant? You know what I mean? I don't think so, because Busta is at the age to where, and he's at the stage in his career where he doesn't owe anybody any fucks. Busta can literally do whatever he want, and it's going to be Busta. You know what I mean? But this album, I don't know what to think about this album, but in my opinion, this album is trash. I don't like it whatsoever. This ain't it. This ain't it. Thank you for watching the E for One podcast. And until next time, I will check y'all later. Peace.